I am constitutionally incapable of telling lies, and always have been and always will be. But there are a lot of people who think I'm just brutally honest or refreshingly authentic. So let me clarify something for everyone who thinks this is some kind of admirable character trait. You clearly have never witnessed the social catastrophes and personal disasters that my complete inability to lie has caused throughout my entire life. Because I swear, it's like I have a reverse superpower, where my mouth is physically connected to my brain with zero filtering mechanism whatsoever. It's not that I'm morally superior or ethically principled. It's literally a biological defect, where the part of my brain that's supposed to generate plausible falsehoods simply doesn't function. Like some people are colorblind, I'm lie blind, and it has ruined more situations than I can count. Remember when people say white lies are the social lubricant that keeps civilization functioning smoothly? Well, I'm out here raw-dogging reality with everyone I meet, and let me tell you, society is not built to handle that level of unfiltered truth. Every single time a situation calls for a polite fiction, a diplomatic deflection, or a kind untruth, my brain short-circuits, and my mouth just vomits out the complete unvarnished reality like I'm under oath in a courtroom where the penalty for perjury is immediate death. I've tried to lie. I've practiced in front of mirrors. I've rehearsed scenarios. But the moment I attempt to say something untrue, my face does this weird contortion thing. My voice gets high-pitched, and I start sweating profusely, like I'm trying to smuggle drugs through airport security. Let me walk you through some classic examples of how my inability to lie has destroyed countless social situations and personal relationships. First disaster. When I was 7 years old, my aunt gave me a sweater for Christmas that was genuinely the ugliest piece of clothing I had ever seen in my life. It had this weird pattern that looked like vomit mixed with sadness, and when she asked me if I liked it in front of the entire family, a normal child would say, "Yes, thank you so much, I love it." But my malfunctioning brain looked at her with complete sincerity and said, "No, this is actually really ugly, and I'm never going to wear it. Why did you think I would like this?" The room went completely silent. My mom's face turned red, and my aunt started crying at Christmas dinner. My parents tried to explain later that sometimes we tell small lies to protect people's feelings. But my 7-year-old brain couldn't understand why we would do that when the truth was so obvious. Second catastrophe in high school. My best friend got a terrible haircut, like truly awful. She looked like she had lost a fight with a lawnmower, and she was clearly feeling insecure about it when she asked me what I thought. Every single person in her life had apparently told her it looked great, because they were normal humans, capable of basic social deception. But when she asked me, I looked at her for a solid 5 seconds, trying desperately to formulate a lie, and my face must have gone through every stage of grief before I finally said, "It's really bad, like you should probably wear a hat until it grows out." She burst into tears immediately, didn't talk to me for 2 weeks, and later told me she appreciated my honesty, but that I could have been less brutal about it. I genuinely didn't know how to be less brutal while still telling the truth. My brain only has one setting, and it's set to maximum authenticity regardless of consequences. Third fiasco. I went on a first date with someone who took me to a restaurant they were really excited about. And the food was genuinely terrible. Like possibly the worst meal I'd ever had. Everything was either overcooked or under-seasoned, or just fundamentally wrong. When my date asked me what I thought of the food, a normal person would say, "It's interesting," or "Not my favorite, but thanks for bringing me here," but my defective brain looked at them and said, "Honestly, this is inedible. I don't understand how this restaurant stays in business. Did you actually enjoy your meal, or are you just pretending?" I could see their face fall in real time as they realized their favorite restaurant was being comprehensively roasted by their date, and they admitted they had hyped it up in their mind, and maybe it wasn't as good as they remembered. We never had a second date, and I'm pretty sure it's because I couldn't just keep my mouth shut about mediocre pasta. Fourth tragedy. I had a coworker who was absolutely terrible at their job, and during a team meeting, my manager asked if anyone had feedback about our collaboration process. Everyone else gave diplomatic, vague answers about room for improvement and growing together as a team. But when it was my turn, I apparently decided it was Truth and Reconciliation Commission time, and gave a detailed breakdown of exactly which coworker was dropping the ball with specific examples and metrics. You could hear a pin drop in that conference room. My manager looked like he wanted to crawl under the table, and the coworker I called out just stared at me with their mouth open in shock. After the meeting, my manager pulled me aside and explained that there are professional ways to give feedback, and then there's whatever I just did, which was apparently the corporate equivalent of a public execution. Fifth calamity. My girlfriend at the time asked me if I thought her sister was pretty, which is obviously a trap question that normal people navigate by either deflecting or giving a carefully calibrated answer that does not rank their girlfriend as family members by attractiveness. But my brain heard a direct question and immediately computed an honest answer. So I said, "Yeah, objectively speaking, she's conventionally attractive, probably slightly more so than you by traditional beauty standards. But I'm more attracted to you because of our connection and your personality." I thought I was being romantic by emphasizing our emotional bond. But apparently quantifying and comparing my girlfriend's attractiveness to her sister was not the move. She was furious, didn't speak to me for days, and brought it up in arguments for months afterward as evidence that I thought her sister was hotter, which was true, but I should have never admitted it. Sixth disaster. I was at a party where someone was showing off their artwork, and it was genuinely not good, like objectively amateur and poorly executed, and they asked the group what we thought. Everyone else was giving these overly enthusiastic compliments, talking about bold choices and interesting perspectives. And when they asked me specifically, I felt my face start doing the lying warning contortion, so I tried to just stay silent, but they pushed and said they really wanted my opinion. So I told them it wasn't very good and pointed out specific technical problems with composition and color theory, and the entire party turned to stare at me like I'd just kicked a puppy. The artist left the party crying. Several people told me I was an asshole, and I tried to explain that they asked for honesty. But apparently, what do you think doesn't actually mean. Tell me what you think? It means participate in this collective social fiction where we all pretend this is good. The professional consequences of my inability to lie have been even more catastrophic, because apparently the entire business world runs on polite fictions and strategic omissions. Seventh disaster was during a job interview when they asked me about my weaknesses, and instead of giving the classic humble brag answer about being too much of a perfectionist, my brain decided full confession mode was appropriate. I spent 15 minutes detailing my actual legitimate weaknesses, including my terrible time management, my tendency to procrastinate until panic sets in, my difficulty accepting criticism, and my habit of getting distracted by the internet instead of working. The interviewers just kept writing notes with increasingly concerned expressions, and I could see the moment they mentally moved my resume to the rejection pile, but I couldn't stop talking because they asked and I had to answer honestly. Eighth catastrophe happened when I was working retail and a customer asked if a dress made them look fat, which is the ultimate trap question that has ended careers and started wars. My coworker who was standing next to me immediately jumped in with, "No, you look amazing." But the customer looked at me for confirmation, and my treasonous brain made my face do the pre-lie warning system, which the customer immediately noticed. They pressed me for my real opinion, and I made the fatal mistake of being honest, explaining that the cut wasn't flattering for their body type and suggesting a different style. The customer complained to my manager, gave the store a 1-star review mentioning me by name, and I got written up for not adhering to customer service standards. My manager tried to explain that my job was to make customers feel good, not to be a personal stylist giving unsolicited fashion critiques, but I genuinely didn't understand how I was supposed to lie when directly asked for my opinion. Ninth fiasco was at a family dinner where my uncle was telling a story that was clearly exaggerated and probably mostly fictional, and everyone was playing along and reacting appropriately. But when he made direct eye contact with me during a particularly unbelievable part, my face apparently showed exactly what I was thinking. He stopped mid-story and asked me if I didn't believe him, and I should have just said, "Of course I believe you," like a normal person. But instead I said, "Honestly, no, that doesn't sound physically possible, and several details have changed since the last time you told the story." The entire family turned on me for disrespecting my uncle. He got angry and left early, and I ruined Thanksgiving by being unable to just nod along to an obviously embellished story like everyone else. 10th tragedy occurred when a friend asked me if I wanted to hang out. And the truth was I didn't because I was exhausted and wanted to stay home alone. But normal people would just say they were busy or make up an excuse. Instead, I told them directly, "No, I don't want to hang out tonight. I'm tired," and would prefer to be alone, which apparently made me sound like I hated them. They got offended and asked why I was being so cold, and I tried to explain I wasn't being cold. I was just being honest about my energy levels and social capacity, but they took it as personal rejection. We're not as close anymore, and I still don't understand why honesty about not wanting to socialize is considered more offensive than making up a fake excuse. 11th calamity was during a work presentation where my boss asked the team if we thought the new initiative was feasible, and everyone else enthusiastically said yes, even though we all knew it was an unrealistic timeline with insufficient resources. But when my boss asked me specifically, I couldn't just go along with the group consensus, so I laid out exactly why the project was doomed to fail with current constraints, including detailed analysis of our capacity issues and resource gaps. My boss's face went from confident to furious in about 30 seconds, and after the meeting, I got called into a private conversation about team morale and the importance of positive attitude. Apparently, pointing out objective reality is considered negative and unsupportive, even when that reality is going to become apparent anyway when we inevitably miss all our deadlines. 12th disaster happened when my friend was dating someone who was obviously wrong for them, and anyone could see the relationship was unhealthy and headed for disaster. Normal friends apparently have conversations where they gently raise concerns or ask leading questions. But when my friend asked me what I thought of their partner, I gave them an itemized list of red flags and problematic behaviors I'd observed, complete with specific examples and patterns. My friend got extremely defensive, accused me of being unsupportive and judgmental, and stopped confiding in me about their relationship. 6 months later, when they broke up under exactly the circumstances I predicted, they admitted I was right, but also said I had been too harsh and could have been more tactful. I still don't know how to be tactful while communicating the truth that someone is making a terrible decision. The absolute worst part is that I've started developing a reputation as the brutally honest friend, which sounds like a compliment, but is actually a warning label. People come to me when they want honest feedback, but then get upset when I actually give it to them. They say things like, "I appreciate your honesty," through gritted teeth while clearly wishing I had lied like everyone else. I've tried to develop a filter. I've practiced diplomatic phrasing. I've read books about emotional intelligence and social skills. But the moment someone asks me a direct question, my brain treats it like testimony under oath and compels me to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, regardless of social consequences. At this point, I've accepted that I'm going to keep destroying relationships, sabotaging job opportunities, and creating awkward social situations until the day I die, because apparently my brain is hardwired to value factual accuracy over literally everything else, including my own well-being. If you're watching this, and you're one of those naturally gifted liars who can navigate social situations smoothly, I envy you so much. You have no idea how much easier your life is. And if you're like me, and you've torpedoed countless situations by being pathologically honest, leave a comment with your worst truth-telling disaster story, because I need to know I'm not the only person cursed with this completely useless and socially destructive commitment to honesty.